Morning, folks. Getting started here this morning. It's about 7 o'clock. Rained a little bit last night. It's in the it's 36 degrees, 37 degrees right now. Gonna be up into the 40s, I think, today. So should be a pretty good day to do some work outside. Let's see. When I left off last night, excuse me, I was attempting to put up that 6x6 in the upstairs, and I had mentioned that it might be funny because it might fall, and so I tried to record it. Let me just get this door here. Damn, thing's heavy. So I tried to record it. You may remember it right here, but unfortunately, the SD card filled up and that quit recording, and so I gave up recording for the day. But I did finally get it up, but I was right. It fell 3 times, actually. So I would get that far end up on a post, and it would be teetering and down at an angle. And I'd come down here and lift this end up, which would level it out and relieve some of the pressure on the post down there. And that post, sure enough, would tip over after a minute or so before I could get this one set. So finally, I figured out that I had to tie it up. But I'll tell you, that hurt when you had that 16-foot 6x6 up on my shoulder, and it fell to the ground off that post 3 times. Banged up my shoulder pretty good, but anyway, that's where we ended yesterday. And I did get the post up. I got it jacked up a bit. I'm going to put some more supports in here. I think I'm okay up here. I need to get a support underneath, down underneath this where I have the jack right now. That floor sank pretty good when I started putting pressure on that jack, so I think I got to get down there and put a post under it. These 2 ends have pretty good posts under them. So that's pretty good. Then I got to rig up my support for this big beam. And then I keep saying take siding off. I haven't gotten there yet. Sun's coming up over the mountain over there. I really don't want to take this siding off. You know, those are like 16, almost 16 feet long at the top, and those are old barn boards, and if I start messing with them, there's no way they're going back on, and I don't want to reside it all. And so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I'm probably going to take off the bottom section for sure and see if that'll give me enough access to do what I need to do. Whoops, not holding this very well, trying to hold the coffee in. So the beam that needs to be replaced comes up to about here and goes down to about here, so it's right in the middle of those. So what I'm thinking, maybe, probably not realistic, is I'll take these bottom boards off. I'll pull whatever nails and screws that I can out of the bottom of these boards, probably get under there with a sawzall and cut the rest of them off, because I'm sure some won't come out. Then maybe I can tuck that new beam up under the upper boards and put it into place without having to take them all off. Some of them will come off anyway. This window, you can see the side is really popped out because of the bow and the sag that we got going on here. Some will, you know, around that window will come out. Probably under that window will come out. So I'll have some, and then I got to get a couple off where this beam goes up, which is right about here inside. So I got to work on that. So that's the start. Last night, after the camera went dead and after I was at a good stopping point, I went down to Home Depot, grabbed some cement, some rebar, some giant Timberlock screws to try and hold some of these things together. The folks at Home Depot were good enough to let me steal a pallet so that when I got home I could just lift that off the trailer with the tractor, which was good. I mean, it's only 12 bags, but a lot of moving. And that's it. So I guess that's where we're at for today. We'll get started here and start by supporting that 6x6 some more, put some beams underneath, and support that big beam upstairs, and see what we can do. This is the bottom of the post that I cut off in the first floor. It's upside down. The cut is on the other side, but you can see this was the post that was holding up a lot, actually, but there wasn't much left of it. So anyway, all right, looks like it's going to be a good day. Get started here. Check in later. See ya. All right, let's give you a look here. So I've added some supports. Another beam here. Support this one. And now I can really show you, I think, what's going on with this post. So this is one of the main posts here that I've been talking about. And you can see what's going on with this beam underneath. And see how it's separated from the floor. It's pulled away. So when I take that beam out from under it, of course, there'll be nothing holding it. So I don't know. I've supported most of the load from up top, but what I'm thinking I'm going to do is support the roof of this beam itself. So I'm going to put something like this up under it, and then I've got this pocket, this old pocket that some, from who knows what beam was in there years ago. And then I'm going to jam this under here and see if I can have that carry some of the load. There we go. Okay, I'll put a bunch of screws, big screws in this stuff too. And then I'm going to put some angle pieces that come from, up here down, and some side pieces here. And then hopefully that transfers the load in here. And then I'll probably put a come along or something around it and pull in just to make sure that it doesn't want to slide out, because this theoretically will be able to slide. I don't know. So then when I can get under it, once I get the beam removed underneath, I'll be able to get under that post, under the bottom of it, and jack it up, which I guess will lift this whole support apparatus that I'm building with it. And then I can block under that again and then set it back down on that. And then I'll be able to put my new beam underneath wherever it needs to be. Yeah, I think that's the theory. So we'll see. That's the latest. All right, so here's the latest. This is the setup I've got for carrying this beam. I've got in here, this block of wood is in this pocket that was routed out of the beam, chiseled out. And then another piece with 6-inch timber locks holding that underneath it, which sits on this big, I'll call it a skid board there. And then I've got these guys, 2x10s, screwed down the post and then screwed into that skid board as well on both sides. And then these angle 2x6s down as well and screwed in or nailed into the skid board. I started nailing because I'm running out of timber locks. I should have gotten some shorter ones, I meant to, but I've got 10-inch timber locks, 8-inch timber locks, and 6-inch timber locks, which are awesome, but I'm running out. So I started using some big screws, 4-inch Phillips head screws, and whoever designed a 4-inch Phillips head screw needs to be put in jail, because they don't work. You can't. It's pretty hard. I've even put oil on these and soap and whatever I can to try to get them to go in easier, but man, a Phillips head screwdriver just doesn't do it into old lumber with a 4-inch screw. You just can't turn it without slipping. So I went to nails down here, some 10-penny nails, and hopefully that'll be sufficient. I was trying to use screws so I can take all this apart when I'm done more easily, but we can get the nails out too. So that's where we're at, and hopefully that will carry the load of that beam. I have no idea. It could be overkill and unnecessary, or it could be wholly insufficient. I'm just not sure. We'll find out. That's for sure. So I'll start taking stuff apart on the outside. I think this beam is basically going to crumble when I start doing that. And then we'll just kind of keep an eye on things and watch what happens and watch how it settles and go slow. And if it starts to sag or anything, then I'll have to do some more reinforcing. That's it for now. All right, the weather's changed. It's almost 50 degrees and the sun is blazing, so it's nice and warm. Good day to be working, and we've made some progress out here. So now you can start to really see what we're dealing with. And one of the wonders of these old barns is how the hell they stand up through what they do. It's, you know, this post right here, you can see, I don't know, yeah, so this was a railroad tie, and it must have rotted out. See, there's not much left of it on this side, and then this piece was scabbed in. I actually think I remember doing that many years ago. It's just to try to save it. This piece is like paper. If I hit that just a little bit, it would just crumble. Under this main beam, the beam that we're going to replace, it must have been sagging in the back here. So this is a railroad tie laid in here horizontally and jacked up under it to hold it. And that's actually pretty solid, but it's going to have to come out somehow. And then this post is actually seems to be carrying some load, but there's not much left of it. And this corner post definitely is, although that's punky too, so that's going to have to be replaced. And where it's going to get really tricky back here is this is the end of the beam that comes across the back of the barn. This is a railroad tie here, and then the 8x8 that we're looking to replace is up in here, and you can see the end of it here, and it ends here. So this has got to come out, this has got to come out, but this has to stay supported because the whole corner of the barn is sitting on this, and that ultimately needs to be replaced too. And this post is going to have to come out. Again, the footing back in this corner is actually really good, so if I can get a good post in there, that might be all right, pressure treated for a while. Or maybe I can even pour some better footing. I don't know. We'll see how we do in there. And I think you can see how much that cement is caved in and how angled this is. And then the beam, I can't see a thing in this, but the beam that comes along here, you can see how it really just sags. And in fact, the window frame, I was noticing, which really is not designed to carry load, that's just there to, I mean, it's fine, but it's just there to hold the window. That is, I think, carrying more than perhaps some of these beams or posts. And then get down here, this tie is actually, it's okay. It's rotting at the bottom because it goes into the ground. This is where I want to pour footings that come up higher than the ground. So that the posts don't have to be down in it. And so I think I'm not sure how to go about this now. I'm gonna clean up some. I mean, it's a mess. These boards just shattered when I took them off, and these aren't that old. The upper level of boards are old. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say 200 years original, but they're definitely old. They were old when I was a kid, and there you can see there's some 12, 14 inch wide boards in there, and so they're pretty old. The lower section has been replaced a number of times. In fact, like I said, I think I was part of some of that, if I remember correctly. And it's just tongue and groove. It's like 10-inch tongue and groove back here. So there's really no barn board sort of historic value in that. There might be on the top stuff. I'm sure there is actually on the top stuff. But I'm going to try to do this. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it, but I'm going to try to do this without taking the top boards off, because it just turns into a massive project if I got to go another 16 feet up, and I'd have to get under that soffit board there. Take that down. The roof will probably get messed with. It's just too much. So I'm going to try to do it without, and I think the way I can do it is I'm going to get rid of as many nails as I can under here, cut what I have to, and then see if I can get the old beam out without taking those out, and then sneak the new one in. Or the other scenario is I may cut these boards up high enough so I can get the new beam in, and then just put a kind of ledger board across horizontally and have these meet the ledger board on top, and the boards on the bottom that I put up will meet the ledger board too. We kind of did something like that similar when we replaced this door up here. You can see the boards were just in such bad shape that rather than replace them, we just cut them and put this ledger board in, which works fine. And if you look at some of these boards, that thing's got to be at least 16 to 18 inches wide. Those two right there. I mean, these are some big old boards. You don't find that stuff anymore. So we'll try to save as much of that as we can as I do this. And I don't know, it may be too hard to do, but I'm gonna try. See how it goes. All right, it's cleanup time. Not cleanup officially, but finally, but I'm trying to stay ahead of the mess, because at the end of this few days that I have off here, I'm gonna have to quit and run out of here, and I don't want to have to clean everything up. So I got about 1 billion nails to pull out of these boards, and figured I'd do that now and just neaten up the workspace. And I'm gonna pull a bunch of nails out of the barn too. So there are decades of nails in all of this wood, so it's going to take a while, but that's my next project, cleanup. All right, that took a while, a little painful. I counted 28 nails in one 2x4 that was, I don't know, maybe 2.5, 3 feet long. So that's all cleaned up now, and I think it's time to take a little break and grab something for lunch, and then come back out. I tried to get this window out, but it's so settled on the beam is so settled on the actual sashes that I can't even budge it. So I don't know what's going to happen to that. It's probably just going to have to get smashed and torn out. So anyway, I'm going to take a little break there and come back to it after lunch. So I've got about one full day in this. I got here about noon yesterday, and slow starting with moving stuff around and whatever, but so it's just over one full day probably, and I went pretty late last night. But anyway, got it all torn out, and boards above that window came out, which is actually just as well because it gives me good access. You can really see what's going on with this beam now. It's pulled away from the floor. It's supposed to be over the floor, or next, up against the floor. And so I think what I'm going to do next is clean up. I'm going to take some of this trash lumber and stuff, get it out of the way, put it up to the burning pile. I've taken all the nails out of it. And then I'm going to start digging. I'm going to start digging a trench along this foundation down to the footing to get all the dirt away from it, and that's going to make a real mess. And then once I get that away, my plan is to probably put some kind of post. I've got this board luckily came off all the way up, and this is the one that goes along the big beam inside. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lag a big beam onto the outside of this once I get the hole dug, and put it down to a big rock or piece of cement or something in the hole, and that will help support that beam too when I cut the rest of this beam out. And so there's that beam that needs to be supported. The next beam this way is past this window and past this post, so I don't have to worry about that. All the floor joists are supported on that lower beam on the inside, which is sort of temporary, but temporarily permanent. And then the next post is the corner post, which does unfortunately sit on that railroad tie. And I'm gonna have to get that out of there, so I don't really know how that's gonna go. That one might be okay because I think it'll be carried on that. There's a post on the inside, so I may be able to get that one out of there. Anyway, so I'll dig the trench so that I can pull the foundation back, put a post up and support this, and then start tearing the wood out. I'll tear all those posts out that are on the cement, and start to cut the beam out, this horizontal beam that's rotten, I think, and try to get it out of there. And I'm planning to splice it with the new beam. I'm not gonna, unfortunately, I can't go back far enough to get onto this beam. So I think I'm gonna splice it to this beam somewhere in here, just to the right of this here. And then when I get the foundation fixed, I'll put another post next to this one. And eventually I'm gonna replace. Okay. I think that's probably vibrating like crazy, so it may not even work. And you may not even be able to hear me. But I'm gonna do some cleanup. I don't know what is holding this thing up. This is funny. This is one of the beams that holds that big rotten beam. And if you look here, you can see right clean through. There's nothing left because the dirt goes up to here, and the bottom foot and a half is in the dirt and the water, and it's pretty wet right here. Same thing with this one, although that one's in a lot better shape for one reason or another. It's probably only 8 or 10 inches into the dirt. Next thing is I've got a beam set up on the inside, and I'm gonna take the backhoe and stick it in from the outside in over the wall. I've done this before and it's worked, but you never know. Depends on how well the footing is seated. And so I'm gonna reach in there and try and hit that with that 6x6 with my bucket, and then roll it out and try to pull that wall out. So wish me luck. was a lot easier the last time I did it with 2 people. So you could have one person inside telling you what to do and where to move. The other thing is, the last time I did this, I had a smaller backhoe and it fit through the hole better. This backhoe is a lot bigger, so I don't think I can get in much more than that. I'm just gonna have to use the roll of the bucket, and I'm not gonna be able to get down any lower, so I'm gonna have to pull high on the wall and hope that it doesn't break it. My fear is if I pull too much on the top, it'll just snap the top right off. But I'm gonna have to go do better than that. So I'm gonna go get another couple of 6x6s and lay them on top of here and try to build it up. All right, I got another one here, another 6x6, and that hits the teeth pretty well. I just rolled the bucket in, so I'm going to leave the camera here, and you're going to get to see this, and I won't be able to see what I'm doing because it's over the wall. So if all hell breaks loose, you'll know before I will. Reasonably well. It's definitely straighter. Somehow the right side, looking from this side, is out further than the other side. So I need to try to leave that side where it is. I don't want to go too far with that and then hold this side. But now I got this beam here, so I can't go too much further. But I'm going to try to come over here a little more. Alright, it's about 5 o'clock. I just had the bucket in this tiny little hole, actually. Didn't think I'd get in there, but I did. And pulled that out. It is not out as far as I wanted. Unfortunately, when I pull this section, which is, you know, to the left of that post there, the section on the right goes with it too, and the section on the right is going too far. And I tried bracing the outside of the right-hand section to keep it from pulling out, but couldn't seem to do it. They're really connected, so whenever I move one, the other one's moving. So that's okay. It's pretty good. It's not great. Not as good as I'd like even, but it's not bad. So I think what I'm going to do is clean some of this up. I gotta get some light in here. I'm going to try to clean this up some, put some of this stuff away, and then I'd like to get some cement poured. I got 12 bags of cement, which is not going to do it. But if I could get 12 bags of cement poured along this footing, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out a little bit under the footing, or, you know, beside the footing and under it a little, and then put some kind of a rudimentary form in there and try and pour an extended footing, or at least build that footing up a little bit. If I could get that done tonight, that would be pretty good. So, and then over here too, I mean, you can see, if you can see in this light, I mean, it's all undermined under the footings. So I gotta try and pack some concrete under there and hope that it'll at least get it, 5 or 10 more years before it settles again. And then maybe by then we'll just do the whole barn and foundation. So it really needs to be done if we're gonna save it, although this foundation has lasted a long time, but they had more than 3 days to work on it when they did it, and that's about all I get these days. So maybe in retirement someday, because what I would do if I even had 10 days, I would just get rid of all of this cement block, dig it out totally, pour a new footing, put some new cement block in, fill it, rebar, the whole 9 yards, and try to get it to really be pretty solid and build the footings up higher so that it keeps the posts out of the ground and all that. But anyway, this is better than it was. If I can shore it up, maybe we get 10 years out of it. That'd be good. At least, hopefully, if I can get it solid and then get that beam replaced, we'll be good. Unfortunately, the beam is the bigger need, but I can't do the beam until this foundation's reasonably solid. And the beam is still perplexing me how I'm going to get that done. I'm not sure how I get that beam out of there and get a new one in, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do it in sections or something. So we'll see. All right. That's it for now. All right. It's now almost 8 o'clock or 7:30-ish. I haven't done a lot of filming because I've just been trying to move fast and I'm exhausted. So we got I can't remember what I filmed last, but I formed up a wider footing. I dug out under this footing, put in a form, and poured a 6-inch, probably a little more than that actually, at least a 6-inch footing along this wall, and I really made sure I jammed and really worked the cement underneath there. So hopefully it got some under. I don't know, looks pretty good. Let's see how it works. A little worried about this guy right here. I don't know if you can see this, but this row of cement blocks split. This is why I like to be able to fill them. And unfortunately this section is already full. And so I don't know, I think this will just pretty soon it's just gonna settle right back down. And that'll tip it in again. But what can you do? It'll hopefully be better than it was. I think it will. And I'd like to get some more. I'd have to get some more concrete. I don't know when I'll do this, but I would like to take this post and that post. I just pointed to it off camera. You can't see that. And pour a form. I would form up between the two sections of wall and bring that post up to, well, probably almost the top of this block wall, at least close to it, and try to get it out of the dirt. That's my plan if I can do it, but I don't know when I'm going to do that. It's probably not happening this time. So I have a feeling we're going to have an open back on this thing. Or maybe I'll have to get a tarp or something to cover it, but I don't think I'm going to get this buttoned up in the next 2 days. That doesn't seem likely to me. It could take me all of that just to do the beam. And then, tomorrow I'll probably backfill over there. Oh, there's a lot to do. Anyway, that's it. So, that's it. I am going to clean this up and go pass out on the couch because I am exhausted. I was, it was 12 hours, I guess. straight, almost 13 hours straight, nonstop, and I'm sore and tired. So that's it. Used all but one bag of cement. That was good. I wish I'd gotten more, of course, because then I could pour first thing tomorrow on that post, but that ain't happening. So that's it for tonight, and see what we can do in the morning.